Oh, homies, come join, come sit down. I feel ready to have a rest day. Don't get me wrong, we did great. Not like over the moon by any means, but sometimes you gotta be able to sit there and understand your current capabilities and limitations in order to actually put in your best foot forward, the best effort that you can in that moment. And let me tell you, I don't know if anybody's got the same experience. I feel like people who have been in the gym long enough or have had any sort of knee injury know what I mean when I say, like, I had a bit more of a swelling, like kind of dull soreness in my knee today. Nothing, no injury, no pain, just that little bit of just like, just like a little bit too much work been put on it. Again, we've been killing it this week, put up the max snatch, max overhead squat, max back squat, everything's been flying. And we've been doing full body leg movements every single day. So, the knee's going to have to buckle at some point. So as long as you adhere to it and recognize that you can't go as hard as you want to, that's what's important. At least being able to deviate your efforts into other things in that moment is what's really important. Because I started my snatch workout, and this is what I was talking about last time, where I want my Olympic accessories to be purely accessorizing the main lifts as they're supposed to be. Even though I can mess around and put whatever weight I want on it, I'm only going up one warm-up at a time. I'm not doing any like mini increases in weight just because I feel like I can do a little bit more. If I go to 205, if I can jump weight, I have to go to 225. There is no in between. And the idea that I want behind these lifts is to be able to mentally think about and control the weight as I do it, There being no question of whether I can do it or not. It's just a question of, can we get perfect technique, Because it shouldn't be a strength-based movement on a day where I'm trying to recover and get my Olympic lifts really honed in a certain spot that I struggle with. So I just did a no-foot movement today. On a peak week, I don't want to do the craziest complexes I can imagine because my core is already going to be burnt out. I've been going super hard every day this week, so I got to make sure I leave enough wiggle room to... I'm not going that hard on the accessory lifts. Like, I only got up to 205 for a no-foot snatch today. I've done 2 plates, 235 before, It's not like I can't do it. And the 205 was beautiful. Let me tell you, I kept setting my feet up a little wide, but I kept catching it too wide, and it was just a little awkward, and I was throwing it back a little too much behind my head. So 185, it was okay, but I was like, all right, feet need to be slightly more narrow. Let's get it really like honed in and make it one perfect rep, and we'll see where we go from there. And I was already tired. I could already feel the little dullness in my knee, and I was like, okay, let's not push it too much. Let's actually just get that good top set in, and then you can move on from there. 205, like nothing, like butter. And that's what it wants to be like. That's what it should be like when I'm trying to leave enough energy to get the bench done after, while also recovering at the best rate that I can for how much effort I'm putting into my body. I'm doing a lot right now. So, it's not like I'm going to sit here and say that it feels over the moon to just hit 205. I know I can do better, but it makes me the most impressed and proud of myself to be able to sit there and say, this is what I need to stop at, I know for a fact, I was talking to a homie about this today, I know for a fact I can hit 225 today, for sure, probably pretty easily, not easily, but it's confidently is more so. It's going to be heavy as shit, but confidently I know I could hit it. But that's not what I'm trying to go for. I'm not trying to go for a lift that I feel like I can hit because of my strength. I want to hit a lift that I know I can hit for perfect technique, without overdoing it, without having to scream my guts out and go crazy whipping it as hard as I can. Because I don't want to end a recovery Olympic lift going as hard as I can, whipping it as hard as I can, having to really like grind into the barbell and it's just so much pressure on my knees, especially on all my joints. And on a day where I should be recovering, it puts that excess pressure that I need to stay away from in that moment. It's good on a day where you're trying to hit the progressive overload, like on my snatch day. But we saw last week that going too hard on the accessory days just makes it to where I'm more primed for injuries. I almost messed up my right knee last week, and that would have been tragic. Look at all the progress I'm making this week, and walking away was the best thing I could have done, and now we're already bringing it back. And so it's being able to go in and know that you can always add more later on. But if you go beyond that one weight you're already unsure of, and it's too much, and even if you hit it, if it ends up being too much of a stressor to hit the bench afterward, for example, today, then what's the point? you know? If you're just going to overwork yourself, then why are you even hitting bench in the first place or going heavy, you know? If I were to go in and go as hard as I wanted on the accessory lift, then there should be no care about how much weight I put on bench. But today's a bench-focused day, you know what I'm saying? So there has to be a deviation in energy and where my fatigue is going to end up. So I let it end at 205 because I was already tired mentally. It's been a long week. It's been hard, a lot of work, a lot of effort. And I got to make sure that I don't overdo it so that I'm already unsure about the bench. You know, 355 is big. That's a big number. I have hit that weight one time, technically. I think technically twice, but the second time I'm pretty sure the spotter grabbed it when I was just at the sticking point, even if he said he didn't. And I think he bumped it up just a tiny bit, and that's why I got it. I've hit it one time on my own. And it was like I screamed as loud as I could. It was the worst grind. My butt almost came off the bench. My elbows were in a really bad position. Not a consistent lift at all. It was like a true competition max. But I'm here to hit training maxes for the progressive overload. So I got to sit here and think, okay, is this truly going to help me if I go hard as fuck on my snatch right now? Or should I leave it with, and again, 205 is still heavy. You can't put that in the, I can't just like throw that away. I got to remind myself, 205 is still heavy. It's easily enough to maintain. And today's a recovery technique day, so all I need to do is maintain strength and have better technique. And the 205 was the best technique of the day on the no foot. So I gotta run home and scream happy about that, right? So now, at the very least, I know that I have the best possible chance to kill this bench. You know, I've left all the energy where it needs to be. I've done the program correctly. I don't feel any pain. There's no lack of energy. I'm chilling. We just have to lock it in now. You know, there can't be any deviation. And like I did a few reps on the barbell and at 135, but 185 and up, I just did one single rep. And a lot of people are going to say, well, that's not enough, that's not going to get you enough confidence to go up to that heavy weight because you need to make sure that you're confident every weight. And to me, when it comes to a peak week single bench max out day on the training program, I like to do my very consistent warm-ups, even if there's a lot of warm-up sets. Like I did the barbell, 135, 185, 225, 255, 275, 295, 315, 335, and then 355. But because I cut out all the volume, it makes up for it. It's still the same amount of energy, if not less, because it's just a single. But the biggest thing for me is I want to treat every warm-up like it's my max out. That's what I say for everything, especially Olympic lifting. You got to have that speed and that confidence and that good lockout. Same thing on bench and squat. I want every single lift to feel and look exactly the same, if not as close as I can get it to that top set, you know? And so if I can't lock it in until the third rep on all my warm-ups, how am I going to lock it in on my first rep when it comes to 3 plates and over, you know? So when I got to 185, I felt comfortable, I felt confident, and it's just that the whole time, I'm not looking at the weights. I'm just imagining what it would feel like to have 3+ plates on the bar, how I would want to set it up, how I'd want to feel, whether I'm doing the lift off on my own or with some support from a spotter. Every single time I set up, it needs to feel exactly how I would want it to feel, imagining I'm picking up 355, you know? Just because I can bounce the bar off my chest as fast and as hard as I want to at 185 doesn't mean I'm going to take it fast. You can see every single set, I still take this. I actually did a pretty, not a slow tempo, but it was definitely a very controlled tempo to my chest on almost all the warm-ups, almost up to, I haven't really got to look at it closely. I think I had a pretty controlled tempo all the way through up to 335. 335, it started to deviate a little bit, and then 355, we got to send it, you know? But the action of controlling the technique, controlling your core, where all of your back muscles and lats are primed into your spine and your low back and hips are compressed. You have a solid, flat foot for the proper leg drive. Everything's set up exactly where I'd want it, every single rep, so that when I put on the max weight, it's just doing exactly what I've already prepared for. If I have it in me, if I'm at that level where I can do this weight now, and I've treated every single warm-up like the max out, then there should be no reason why I'm not primed to hit it, you know? Freak accidents happen, sure. There are going to be days where something's off or you're not going to be able to do it, sure. But on a day where there's no lack of energy, at least on the bench, there's no pain, there's no bad technique, I feel fine, there's no reason that if I'm going to put that weight on the barbell that I don't hit it because I'm primed for it. The only thing that concerned me was that because of last week's blunder, I had to skip that last bench day. That was the only thing I was concerned about. I was wondering if the one bench day off was going to make it to where I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm telling you, 355 flew today. I had to definitely really lock it in, really grind through it. There was just like a half, even quarter second of deviation through the sticking point where I really had to lock in my drive, where, you know, your elbows are going to try to flare out, but you got to make sure you keep them as steady and as stiff as you can so that you can put that pressure on your chest and shoulders. I mean, we got there. It was a really good rep. That's like yesterday's squat, the easiest I've ever hit 355. I can't believe how good this progressive overload is working. And it was fun to do the fuck around program for so many months while I was recovering my injuries, but it just is not maintainable long term. I'm a lover of progressive overload, man. It's so beneficial, and having that technical aspect on the Olympic lifts on the days where I do squat and bench to go lighter on the weights, but really test my core and my stability and my joints makes me even more primed when I get to those heavier weights. It feels so good to be able to do this and have no stress about it. Because I got to that last bench, and I was sitting there, and I was talking to my homie who was spotting me, and I was just like, I feel like I should be more hyped for this, you know? Because 3 plates was nothing, you know? It just went. There was no question. It was fully consistent, just did it. And I'm like, well, shit, you know? 335, there was no waver in confidence. It was a little difficult, and I had to definitely stick through it a little bit harder than all the rest of them. But for how heavy it was, for how close to my supposed max it was, it didn't feel bad at all. It felt fine. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, shit, man. Like, I got all this energy. I feel completely fine mentally. I'm not stressed about it at all. Is this what I'm supposed to feel like? You know, it's kind of odd, but when your program is working at the best of its ability, exactly where you want it to, because it's never going to go exactly to plan. But when things are just lining up exactly how you want them to, right where everything's, you know, right where you wanted it to. It might not happen. There's always something that can happen, but it's lining up really well. I'm sitting there and I'm like, the moment everything's lined up and I'm perfectly primed for everything, I'm doing everything right, there's now no stress in my mind. You know, yesterday's squat was so hyped up because I haven't hit a comfortable heavy squat in a long time. You know, I've always had a rounded back or a little butt wink or just way too hard of a grind for my core, and it was just fully consistent. I was scared shitless until I did it, and I realized how good and primed I actually am because I've stuck to the program and done exactly what I need to do, you know? And so getting on bench today, I was like, well, I'm already primed for it. You know, if I think back to my last bench day, we did 330, or 320 for a set of 3. Easy, you know? Relatively grinded through it with no lack of confidence at all. So if I can do 320 for that, in my head I'm like, at the very least, 335 is going to be easy, and I have an amazing attempt available at 355. And I'm always going to subscribe to the mindset that if you put it on the barbell and you have followed the program how you should, and it's not a out of nowhere freak accident kind of day, and you feel fine and there's no risk of injury or anything, why not give it that 100% effort, you know? Of course you could always fail, but you have to have the mindset that no matter what happens, before you do it, there can be no lack of confidence in whether you know you can do it or not. Because when I got under that barbell, I'm telling you, in my mind, I'm like, I'm hitting this no matter what. There's no reason I fail this. There is no reason I cannot do this right now, as long as I lock in everything that I've poured my heart into the past couple months. You know, that's it. And it's okay if you fail afterward. Then you have to realize what you could work better on, what can help you out in the future, or whether or not it was just a day where you just weren't ready, because that's fine. But we hit it, man. We hit that shit confidently. And it makes me twice as confident for the last half of this peak week, because clean and jerk day, I'm honestly not even stressed. Like I think it's going to be a great day. I think I'm going to, especially getting to lift with my Orlando homies I haven't seen in so long, I'm going to really try to lock it in and have as much fun as possible. Just, you know, I'm at a point where I really don't care if I fail anymore. Not because I don't, like, I always have the mindset that I won't fail, but I'm not worried about it. You know what I mean? I can just get in here, do exactly what I want to do, and whether I fail or not is not the main stressor. It's just whether or not I give it the energy and the effort it deserves, you know? Because when you stop worrying about all the little shit and all the numbers and all the statistics, and you just do what you're committed to doing to the highest intensity and passion that you can, the gains will come. The gains will absolutely come, man. It is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. Let me tell you. physically, wasn't that great compared to the rest of this week for sure. Mainly because of my knee. My left knee is very sore. We'll say that. It doesn't hurt at all. It honestly has very little kickback, but it's just that little bit of, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like a little burning sensation. It feels like I'm just overworking the joint a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure I did a movement that put me right in the ass to grass position immediately without any deviation or any over excessive slamming into the ground. And then didn't go too heavy, just make sure the knee wasn't overstressed with good technique. Bench couldn't be happier with. Really just killed all of it, And even though the hype wasn't as high as it was the rest of this week, it still went incredibly well. I got to give myself that effort. And even on the snatches, even though I didn't go that heavy, I fixed the technique on the top set. And that's something to be even more impressed by. So I'll at least give it a super solid 9.3. Like, it was still a great day. I still felt really good. It just wasn't exactly where I thought it would be. And again, that's how the program's going to go. You can't really, you try to give yourself the best opportunity to lift as hard as you want and have no fatigue, but sometimes it's going to kick you in the ass, and you just got to make sure you give it that best effort no matter how poor you feel, as long as there's no risk of injury, Mentally, solid 9.35, not crazy. Really good day. Don't get me wrong. Really good day. But I was just comfortable for once, I just got to do what I wanted to do, and there was no stress one way or about it, Even if I failed the bench, I was like, well, I missed my last bench day, so I got one more day to make it up and see if we can at least get one of the two. And either way, I don't care, because now that I'm actually on a true progressive overload and really committing to the program and giving it that time and attention it needs without overworking my body, I feel like I have unlimited attempts right now. I have so much time to work on my body and my fatigue and how well I can build up strength over time. And I think this is the start of one of the biggest peaks I'm ever going to hit in my life. So I'm going to keep running it while I got it. Just loving every second of it. I appreciate y'all hearing me out. I love to yap, but I'll be back not tomorrow. I'm probably going to end up taking the next 2 days off because I told you guys I'll be traveling for my graduation. And so, yeah, it'll be 2 rest days with all the traveling, and then I'll be back for my heavy clean and jerk day, and we'll finish out the rest of the peak. When we're going to make it, man. I'm telling you what. It's going to be good. Let me know how the lives and list's been going. Love hearing about it, and I appreciate y'all hanging out. I'll see you later. Love you later. Oh, God. Love you guys. Bye. My brain's short-circuiting, man. Ugh.